Hello and welcome to Down Syndrome Queensland's educational webinar on transitions. My name is Kath Bunny and I'm joined today by my colleague Denise Main-Donnell. Denise and I are education consultants at Down Syndrome Queensland. DSQ is the peak body for intellectual disability. The education team at DSQ currently provides services and resources to support educators of students with Down syndrome and or intellectual disability in kindergarten or school. This webinar is supported by the Queensland Government Department of Education through their NSNO funding. It is designed to support educators of students with Down syndrome and or intellectual disability with the transition into primary school or secondary school, from one school to another, or from one year level to the next. We hope this presentation will be full of practical ideas for you that you can use in your own classrooms or schools.
I'd like to acknowledge that this presentation is being held on the traditional lands of the Yungabear people of the Gold Coast and pay my respects to all First Nations people and to elders past, present and emerging.
Okay, our agenda today is for our transition piece. Professional teaching cluster is the importance of well-planned transitions, review and consolidate important information, curriculum mapping and planning, transition visits, working with family, support with transition consults. Sorry, my tongue's
all tongue-tied today.
Yeah.
Okay. The Department of Education's Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025 identifies the importance of supporting the positive transition from home to early education and into school for children and families. Transition is an active process of continuity and change as children move through school. Research tells us that successful transition to school helps improve children's educational and social outcomes. A successful transition will help the school to recognise and support children's developmental needs, interests and skills. Transitions need to meet the individual needs of children and families. Meetings between children, parents and educators should include mutual information sharing throughout the child's school journey. Throughout this presentation, we will show available resources that you can access through an ID8 or a Quest consult. It is important for the current teaching team to make sure that the child's information is up to date and that it is passed on in a strengths-based way. Documents should provide information about barriers to learning, appropriate adjustments, assistive technology, adapted resources or modified curriculum plans and assessment details. Please remember to pass on appropriate visual resources to hand over to the new class, school or relevant staff. Denise will now show us some resources to support these transitions.
Okay, our first resource is a transition support checklist. It provides a guideline for the current teacher and the next year's teacher on what may be needed for a comprehensive transition. It covers the 5 areas listed in our agenda. Our next one is let me just click over. Our next resource is a capacity building tracker. This can be used across the school year to keep a record of PDs and learning that was helpful with knowledge and skill acquisition needed for the student. The area of need reflects a barrier to the student's education, such as communication, curriculum, environmental barriers, etc. The next column, the blue area, is what of the barrier. What skill is needed, such as PD for Proloquo to go or keyword signing. The green one, the who column, lists who needs the training, education, and also who will provide this learning. For example, for communication, and maybe the speech language pathologist. The last column, the when and the how, can be any online links that you have found helpful, or how equipment can be accessed, or links to any reports that need to be read. It can be used short term or for the student's whole educational journey. Our next resource is a variety of quick one-page All About Me templates that are age appropriate. The classroom teacher can capture information about the student's strengths and interests and how they learn best to help develop their personal learning plans. These are also useful across the school year and not just for transitions. On days when you have TRS, the student can hand over this sheet about themselves. By them being part of the process of handing it over, it demonstrates their voice and ownership to the form. By the physical action of them handing it over, the student then knows that the TRS person has information about their needs, thus reducing some of their anxieties. Now, our transition passports. The transition passport is a more comprehensive All About Me document that covers all aspects of the student's educational needs. It has been adapted from a communication passport by Communication Matters, a working name of Isaac in the UK. It is compiled by the student, teaching staff and parents. This is a very useful document that can follow the student throughout their schooling year and can be added and updated to each year. It is an easy process to fill in and is presented using a PowerPoint format. Throughout, we provide examples or suggestions about what information may be necessary. Visuals and resource tracker. Of course, with passing on some of the visuals and resources, it needs to be tracked. So we have any visuals, resources that are used and are currently being used may need to be passed on. We've created a visual and resource tracker that can be used to keep a record of the visuals and resources used and whether they're being passed on, kept, sent home, or have been destroyed. This is a handy record that can be kept for all the resources used with the student, what prompting level they are at, and notes taken on how they could have been used. It is also a good way to track what visuals and resources have been used previously that may not have worked at that time and may need to be revisited. We also have a range of visual support, such as a visual support sequence routine with instructions how it can be used and adapted. This resource can be used to support routines such as collection of equipment, lunch and toileting routines, etc. All of the above resources can be obtained through our ID8 or Quest consults. Back to you, Kath.
Thanks, Denise. As per Universal Design for Learning principles, it is important to plan ahead using provided evidence of the curriculum expectations and whether they have been met for each learning area or general capabilities. After discussing with the current teacher, think about what the next curriculum access points will be and how this can be aligned with the age equivalent year level curriculum. To provide successful and smooth transitions, the current teaching team should also pass on any of the supporting resources. In the next slide, Denise will show us some examples.
Thank you, Kath. Consideration is needed of looking at and listing what worked for the student and what didn't. These may be done through the year as a reflection process of your lesson plan or on your unit plan with the monitoring and review processes or in your weekly diary. It does not matter what it looks like as this is an individual school process, but the next teacher or school needs to know where the student currently sits with the curriculum. And back to you, Kath.
Thank you. For transition visits. Depending on the needs of the students, it is important to arrange several visits to the new school or class. to meet the staff and become familiar with the new environment. Include all areas that the student will access, such as the office, classrooms, tuck shop, or the various subject areas. If face-to-face visits are not possible, work with the new school or next year level teachers to create a video or social story of the new staff and environment for the student. Encourage parents to use these at home over the school holidays in preparation for transition. If time permits, it's good practice for staff to meet with the family in the pupil-free days prior to school starting to ease any concerns that staff, children or families may have. Social stories can be used to assist with the transition process. They explain situations to students and help them learn how to manage these. Social stories do these by explicitly pointing out details about the setting or things that typically happen in the setting and the actions or behaviour that are typically expected from the child. The tailor-made story is written in first or third person and can be written in past, present or future tense. For example, I am going to high school, or we wait for the teacher to open the classroom. The social stories are written using language to match the age and skill of the child. They can be a hard copy book, a video or an e-book, which can include photos, videos, voice recordings or illustrations. If your child isn't reading yet, you can read the stories to them or record the stories and play the recordings as they follow along. Typically, the stories are read several times just before the event they describe. For example, parents read the story to children over the holiday period in preparation for the transition. We have several examples available that can be individualised for your student. Back to Denise.
Thanks, Kath. Now we have a resource, My Teachers. This resource can be provided to the students to reduce the stress of identifying who their teachers are and what they teach. It further explains when they have that teacher and where the teacher is located. It is especially useful with a student transitioning into a secondary school. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you. Working with families. Families and carers play a significant role in supporting their child's transition throughout their schooling life. Good relationships are at the core of positive transition experiences. When families and schools work together in positive and collaborative ways, a child's capacity to achieve their learning potential is significantly enhanced. It also benefits the child's general health, well-being, positive outlook and sense of purpose in life. Talk to the families about their child's interests, how their child learns, their hopes and wishes for their child at school, long or short-term goals for their child, what might help with settling their child into a new school or class, their child's current interests. If possible, try to include the child in these meetings. Denise will now show us some resources to support this process.
Okay. We can provide you with recommended formats for vision statements. The Creating a Vision Statement by Resourcing Inclusive Communities provides examples and suggested considerations. Having a vision statement is a good start to setting some clear positive goals to aim for. It can also help the family in making decisions about any particular directions that need to be taken and opportunities to pursue. It is a map that can be revisited throughout the student's education. We can provide a feedback form that the parents of the child can fill in about what worked well this year and what they think could be improved upon. It is essential for the parents and students to know that they have a voice and that their knowledge is a great resource. The form encourages constructive feedback and is suggested to promote and enhance a positive school-parent relationship. Back to you, Kath.
Thanks, Denise. Please scan the QR code to book in your ID8 transition consult or contact us for more information. I'll give you a little second to scan the QR code. We also have a Quest service available if you require a student observation. When you book in your ID8 or your Quest, we can discuss the student's individual needs, whole school needs, and resources that we can provide. And this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for watching. We hope you found the session beneficial and have learned some practical tips from us. Please reach out via the contact details on the screen if you wish to book a consult or require further support.